Yep, that's right, folks. We got another interview for you. Music's going to start in a minute.
Yeah. Little Sean Michelle for you.
You're going to see three people on the screen.
There'll be me.
You'll see me.
There'll be Travis.
Clint, Big C. And down below, there's going to be another fella. He's a young guy.
Just a lad.
Just a lad. This guy won the Peter Mortel Holder of the Year award last year.
Try saying that twice fast.
Yeah, I'm not going to. We got current Razorback punter, Reid Bauer. That's right. It is game week, folks. Ooh. And we have the punter from the Razorbacks. We have a current player on the Big C and Big T podcast for an hour-long interview.
The man threw a touchdown pass against Alabama.
A jump pass, mind you.
He's got more touchdown passes against Alabama than anyone that played quarterback during the Chad Morris era.
That's right.
Think about that.
That's right. So, Reid Bauer, and look, y'all, this is a good guy.
Good guy. Easy to root for sure.
I wanted to say good kid. He's a senior. He's a good man.
He's a man.
Good man. He's was so easy to work with to get him on here. And man, we had a great time talking to him. And so just enjoy this interview with Reid. And I promise you watch it, you're going to be rooting for the punter for the Razorbacks this year more than you've ever rooted for a punter at Arkansas ever before. That's my prediction. Don't you think, Clint?
I think so. Very likable guy, easy to root for, and he's a lot of fun to talk to.
And told us a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah.
A little behind the scenes stuff.
We talked Chad Morris, the difference between Chad Morris, Sam Pittman.
And if you're wanting to get fired up for football this week against Cincinnati, watch this podcast. Because it's
ladies and gentlemen, Reid Bauer. Reid Bauer.
Reid Bauer. He gonna get your flash. He gonna
1, 2, 3, 4. You ever seen a lame man walk? Ever heard a dumb man talk? Ever seen a blind man see? I promise you a change his name. You ever seen a cancer dead? Ever seen all the poor get fed? Ever seen a prisoner set free? I promise you a change his name. Made whole. Ever seen an orphan find a home? Ever seen a weak find the strength? I promise you I'll change his things. Ever seen the sick get healed? Ever seen a mystery revealed?
Hey everybody, it's time for the Big C and Bigger T podcast. I'm your boy Bigger T. I got my man Big C, Clint Clark. Clinton, how are you? Yeah,
I know you're going to cut me off, but hey, you can tell Reid's clutch because he didn't flinch when you scare me every time. But Reid,
hey man, he's used to having 80,000 people watching what he's doing on the field. So me yelling a little bit, that ain't no big deal to him.
Nothing.
He's like, go ahead, fat boy, yell all you want. I'm gonna kick this 50 yards, and it's gonna have a 5-second hang time in your face. And then, folks, we have the punter for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Not only that, he was last year's holder of the year. Holder of the year. I didn't know that existed, but congratulations, Reid. Reid, thanks for joining us. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited.
Well, and we're gonna get to kind of current team a little bit later, but I do have to ask. We're in game week, right? This is Cincinnati's Saturday. This is game week. The fans We're giddy, man. We're fired up. We're ready. What's the sense of the team? Y'all ready to hit somebody different?
Yeah, we are. We're definitely ready to get out on the field. It's the most ready that I've felt the team has ever been since I've been on the team, and this is my 5th year, so that's saying something.
See, Clint, I knew his answer was going to be to that question.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to get all of us Hog fans just giddy right from the start. Well, Reid,
Oh,
now
I'm so excited.
you grew up down in Magnolia, Texas, correct?
Yep.
Now, that's near Waco?
No, well, there actually is a Magnolia near Waco, but the Magnolia where I'm from, it's about an hour north of Houston and probably 45 minutes from College Station.
So you're not from the Chip and Joanna Gaines, Waco?
No, that's what everybody thinks when I say it, though.
Yeah. Well, everybody in South Arkansas makes a pilgrimage down to there, you know. We got to go see Chip and go. Oh, okay, whatever. Anyway, well, tell us about growing up in Texas. What was kind of life like there for you, and how did you get into football growing up?
Yeah, growing up in Texas, it was nice. Always revolved around being outside. I mean, didn't have to deal with snowstorms or blizzards or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was always pretty big into sports, just playing around in the neighborhood. I actually didn't get into football till 6th grade. I kind of fell in love with it from there. I was big into baseball before, and I decided I wanted to go with football. I actually didn't even start punting till my junior year of high school. I was playing linebacker, and the punter on our team, he had left, and we hadn't thought about getting a replacement punter. And our coaches there were kind of like, who here can punt? And I was like, I can do it, even though I'd never done it. But I ended up getting into it and falling in love with it.
Had you at least done it on the playground or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've kicked it around, but never like in a game or anything like that, or even at practice.
Okay.
Now, you wouldn't guess it by old Big T there. He was the kicker on the high school football team his junior year.
Well, Reid, I didn't want you to be intimidated, but
yeah,
I was.
He kicked a 19-yard field goal, Reid.
That's more than I can say. I don't have any field goals.
And Reid, I actually set the record for most consecutive extra points. Do you know what the record was?
2.
6. 5 before me, and then it got broke the next year, and I think the guy went straight to 12 or something. Yeah,
still got to be a record holder.
It was kind of like you was though. We graduated a really good kicker, and my mom would come get me late. She was a nurse, and so she picked me up late for practice, and I would stay after and shag balls for the kicker the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And so he showed me how to kick. And so I'd get out there and I got pretty good at it. I got consistent. It wasn't like I wasn't kicking no boomers, but I could kick extra point. And so then when it came around the next year, the coaches had seen me and they said, well, get out here and try it. I was probably set the record as the biggest kicker in the state, but that's not official.
You look like Jared Lorenzen back there.
You can claim it. That's a cool stat to have.
Well, so you never kicked field goals or anything like that, huh?
I did it in 8th grade, but we didn't really do too much. Like I never kicked like an actual field goal. I think I did a few extra points, but that's about it. Nope. I'm honestly terrible at kicking. I honestly think you'd have both of y'all would have just as good of a chance to make a 30-yard field goal as I would.
Well, no.
Strictly punting and holding for me.
No, that's good because when I walked on to Arkansas Tech, played 4 years down there. And I remember we had a kicker. His name was Peter Stitchen. He was an All-American from Poland. How he wound up at Arkansas Tech in Russellville, I have no idea. But we had his backup listed on the depth chart, and they literally listed Gopher 2. I'm like, whoever's idea this one is clever. They didn't just leave it blank. They're like, no, our backups Gopher 2.
Yeah, always got to have a plan.
Yeah,
even if it's that.
So how did now you played some linebacker, outside linebacker, correct?
Yep.
And I've kind of looked at your profile a little bit. You had quite a few tackles. So
yeah, I started my junior and senior year on varsity as a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I really love to do it. It was weird. It was weird when I got to college and all I was doing was punting. It was kind of an adjustment my freshman year because I was used to doing all like indie, inside run, 7-on-7 and all that, and now I'm just in the indoor working drops for a whole 2-hour practice.
Yeah. I bet that is quite an adjustment doing that. Now, so how did your recruiting go? Did you have quite a few people coming in? Did you what's kind
my recruiting was pretty slow my junior year because that was really the first year I did it, but a lot of the recruiting comes from these camps that kickers and punters and snappers go to, like Cole's Kicking is what I did. I actually won the underclassmen challenge, which was my second camp that I ever did. And so that got me ranked pretty high amongst Coles. And so once I had that video to send out, my recruiting kind of opened up. I started talking to Arkansas pretty early. I knew it was only going to be a walk-on when I first got here, but I really liked the coach who was recruiting me. I liked everything about the state and the city. It was Tanner Burns who recruited me.
Okay, I'm not familiar with him.
Did
you come in under Morris?
I did. I was Morris's first recruiting class. Okay. I started off getting recruited by the Bielema class, and then he got fired, and luckily Tanner got retained through all of the staff turnover. Okay. And so he continued to recruit me.
Good. Well, I'm happy you did. Because we
happy too.
Really good memories.
So you came in, now you played your freshman year.
Right.
And then redshirted your sophomore year, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Was that just a decision made because of the way things were, or was that an injury deal, or what was the reason on that?
Yeah, it was a weird deal. I was fortunate enough to see the field my freshman year. It was really kind of a whirlwind because that was my third year ever punting. And then I went from 2 years punting in high school to starting in the SEC West for punting. I think I got a little bit complacent that off season, and I ended up getting beat out by Sam Loy, who he's a really talented punter, and he beat me out that year. And so that was when I was how I was talking about it was a hard adjustment from coming in playing linebacker to just being a specialist. I don't really know how to work it. And so that sophomore year when I redshirted, I really learned how to work and kind of be a technician with my craft.
But that says, I think that says a lot about you, Reid, is, here you were, you started your freshman year, you punted it in front of a gajillion people at some of these stadiums, and then you get beat out your sophomore year, and, you could have whined about it and cried about it, but no, you went to work and you got better at it.
Right.
It's paid off for you.
Well, and two, in much the same way, you didn't start out as much of a holder either, did you?
No, I didn't work much holding. I did a little bit of holding for Connor just to kind of work it a little bit, but I mean, you could ask him. I was terrible at it. I'd drop the snap, miss my spot all the time. And then when Coach Fountain came in, he really put an emphasis on having punters be holders just because we're always working with the kickers. And I was terrible to start. Nobody wanted to use me. There was one day I was holding for Vito Calvaruso, and I didn't get my hand out of the way fast enough. He kicked the ball and kicked straight through my finger and dislocated it.
Oh. Well, I can tell you when I was kicking, I was left-footed too. And so thankfully we had a backup quarterback who was left-handed. And so he was my holder. But when you see a guy my size coming at you to kick, I kicked a lot of balls that were falling down as I was kicking them.
He had the prettiest straight. He wasn't a soccer style kicker.
Yeah.
He was straight
back.
Yeah, I was straight.
That's what I did in 8th grade too. Just toe poke it.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And then we didn't have a kicking shoe because it was we had a kicking shoe, but the kicking shoe, we only had one, and it was right-footed. So
one of those steel toe ones.
Yeah, the flat nose.
We had one of those in our equipment room in high school.
Yeah.
They never let any of us use them though.
Regular Nike cleat or whatever. But so you go to kicking, how big of a school was Magnolia? Like what?
We were 5A and Texas went up to 6A. I think my graduating class was 430 maybe.
So you were used to playing, in front of some pretty good sized crowds.
Yeah, I mean, I think our seats held like 500 people on the home sideline and probably like 200 on the away.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Keep going.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you played linebacker high school football 5A in Texas. I mean, there had to be some intimidating environments out there. What were some good ones that you went to that was like,
we played in Acadia ISD Stadium. We didn't play in that big, like $20 million one that they built. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it was the one that they used to play at, which was still really nice.
Mhm.
It was like playing on a college field.
Yeah. Well, so you get to the SEC. Did you have a welcome to the SEC moment? Was there a time when you got in the game, you got hit real hard, or something happened? You're like, okay, this is a whole new world.
Yeah, actually, I got two from my freshman year. The first one was we were playing Auburn at Auburn, and the special teams coach who was there, it was his first year there. He was at Missouri before, and he had been recruiting me to Missouri, but then he went to Auburn and they didn't need a punter, so he stopped recruiting me. And I hadn't really talked to him much like when he went to Auburn, but he blocked me twice that game. And I was on the team playing, and I got a text saying, "Welcome to the SEC."
From him?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So okay, be honest. You hate Auburn now?
Yeah, I can't stand him. I haven't beat him since I've been on the team. And as ironic as that is, my whole side of my mom's family went to Auburn. So that was the team I grew up watching, and now I can't stand them.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's crazy, man. That's okay. So what's the other one?
The other one, we were playing Tulsa, and I got the punt off, but I got rocked on that one. And I remember I went to the ground, and I really wanted to get the flag because I didn't hit the punt good. And so I started like hitting my hand on the ground, like kind of like yelling a little bit to sell it. And they threw the flag, and I saw it and got up and ran off. But after that, refs started coming up to me on the sideline before games telling me not to flop.
So do you get taught a little bit to flop if you get a chance? I mean, is that something you get kind of told, or is that?
No, we don't really get told that. It's just something I kind of wanted to do to get the flag.
No, it's got to be an instinct at that point. Just like,
yeah.
In your competitive,
have them brush up against you and go down like you've been shot. Like,
if you can get 15 yards for acting like you're hurt a little bit, and hey, of course, you don't want to get into the Lane Kiffin territory where all your defensive linemen are passing out.
Yeah, I'm not going to fall over with a cramp.
Yeah, all of a sudden. Yeah. Well, man, so we got to talk about, last season. Last season had to be one of your top. Not only did y'all have a great team, but you had two plays that's going to be on your highlight reel for the rest of your life, I'm sure.
I mean, your great grandkids are going to go on YouTube. By then, it'll probably just be something you just like an eye implant or something. It's like YouTube, but they'll be able to look up your two plays that are legendary. I remember your first one. I remember the fake field goal at LSU because I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we were going to go out that night, but your boy got food poisoning, stuck in his Airbnb. So fortunately, y'all gave me something to be happy about.
Yeah.
So tell about that. Let's talk about that one first. Just set that up for us and kind of what was going on there. And just, that one you ran for it. So that one you were, it wasn't.
So that one, we had been working that fake for so long. I mean, pretty much the whole season, and even into last season, we'd been working it. And I mean, I've never really ran the ball. I never played offense, but it's always something I've wanted to do. And that's really all. Like I thought like we'd run it every single game. I'd text my parents before the game. I think we're going to run a fake this week.
Yeah.
Normally didn't happen, but that week it did happen. But we got the call on the sideline, and I was like, "Oh my God, we're actually going to run it." And we jog out. It was after a timeout, and we kind of waited to see if like the look's there, and the look was there. And I looked up at Cam and shook his head, and we were like, "Let's do this." And then I got the ball and got up, and I remember bouncing it out to the edge. And once I saw green grass, I couldn't feel my body at all. It was just like I was floating. And I had told myself, I'm so mad at myself for this. I had told myself if I was going to run the ball that I wanted to throw a stiff arm at someone. But I looked at him, and he was like 8 yards away, looked back again, and he was on me. But I wanted to take the hit too. So I'm glad I at least got to do that.
Yeah.
No, he got a pretty good lick on you, but Luke Jones made a great block on that play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole unit did their jobs perfectly. Couldn't be more proud of that unit.
Now, had there been other times when y'all had called it and you got out there and the defense was set up well against it and you had to call it off?
No, that never happened.
Okay. Well, and then now let's talk about I told a couple people we were going to have you on the podcast, and the first thing they talked about was the jump pass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell us about that one. How set it up for us? How did that play come about?
So the jump pass was a play off of the LSU run. It was kind of the same blocking scheme, and then I was taking the same path downhill that I would if we were to run that run play.
Mm.
And we had worked it a few days at practice, just kind of on air. We had never ran at full speed. I wasn't really too accurate at first, but then the last couple of days I got the hang of it.
Mm.
But I remember I was I was a lot more calm for that one when it got called, because I knew I was going to take as big of a shot as I did at LSU.
Mm.
I just didn't know how I was going to look with Alabama defensive linemen jumping up in the air, because we had never practiced it against like a live defense.
Mm.
But we got the call same way that we did for the LSU one. Took my steps, jumped up. I didn't even see Kern. I just saw hands. And I threw it kind of to the side, not even looking. And I just see Kern bobble the ball and bring it in and run into the touchdown. And it didn't even settle in with me that I had thrown a touchdown until like 5 minutes after being on the sideline.
Is KJ jealous of your passer rating at all? Your touchdown ID ratio?
I'm sure he has to be a little bit. We haven't really talked about it too much.
That's right.
I'd be rubbing it in that you have a completion percentage of 100.
No. We want KJ confident. Don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Don't bring him down. Yeah.
Maybe after the season, after the season when y'all are getting ready for the draft, you can say something.
Right.
You can say, yeah, sure, KJ's going to go high, but I have a better passer rating than him.
And I'd bring that up in the combine too.
I might declare as a quarterback.
Hey, why not? Hey, well, you ever heard of Tom Tupa?
Mm-mm.
He was an old school punter, and he was also he had played quarterback in college. So teams loved him because he would be their third string.
Yeah.
That was back when a lot of teams had 3 quarterbacks on the roster a lot of times in the NFL.
Right.
And so he would be their punter, but they could go with 2 quarterbacks because he would be their third string. Anyway, so you never know, man. Keep working on that throw. You never know.
I'm sorry he's bringing up nonsense like that.
Yeah, I that's the old guy, get off my lawn stuff,
So man, what the night before a game, what's your do you have a tradition? Is there anything you have to do when you get to the stadium? What are some of your game day and pregame traditions that you have to do?
Well, I guess I'll start with when we get to the team hotel. The first thing I do when I get to the team hotel, I've done it every single year I've traveled. The first thing I do is I turn on the TV and put it on MTV because it just plays ridiculousness 24/7. And that's the only consistent channel that you get at every single state is like MTV. And I'll just put that on as white noise. I won't even watch it half the time, but That's the first thing I do when I get in the room.
That makes sense.
It kind of just sets it up to be like a familiar environment, whether it be we're at the team hotel here or at the hotel somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do you ever turn it over there and you're like, Dad gummit, it's Jersey Shore?
I've never ran into that. It has always been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic.
That's so good. What else? Do you got to eat something or?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just eat the same thing. Nothing too weird. I just get the steaks, the fillets, the macaroni, and then some broccoli.
Yeah.
So they have y'all stuff catered in the night before?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Kind of like buffet style. We have a team dinner and then get up and serve ourselves.
See, I played Division II. We went to the Golden Corral.
It's kind of similar, buffet style, maybe just a little better quality.
Right, yeah. So where did you go that had the best food? You know, because we had our old offensive coordinator at Arkansas Tech on a few weeks ago, Coach Racono, and I brought up this pregame meal we had in Cleveland, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing good about Cleveland, Mississippi. And we both like, oh wow, yeah, that place. So is there any place where you got it, the steak was a little bit better?
For sure. Whenever we go to Little Rock and play there, the food's always top notch.
Really? Yeah. Because we want to keep you playing there, I guess.
Yeah.
I love playing in Little Rock. That's one of my favorite games of the whole year.
Really?
There's something about that stadium where it's just electric. I think my friend told me one time it's because it's like an all concrete stadium and it just makes the noise bounce off and amplify even more.
Well, and it's that bowl. There's no gaps.
Yeah.
You know, like Razorback Stadium has those gaps in the corners a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the open end.
The open end there, and also you're right on them. I mean, you're literally the fans are standing over you almost, and also, man, it's a different kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Fayetteville's a little more the corporate kind of area.
Yeah.
But Little Rock, people like from South Arkansas, where I'm from, they can afford to go up there a little easier. Because they can't afford getting a hotel room up in Fayetteville or something like that.
Yeah, prices are steep during football season.
Yeah, and you got to get 2 nights. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the hotels make you get 2 nights or whatever, and so, you know, I mean, it's, you know, and they can, you know, well, like for me, from Clint, your first football game was at Little Rock, right?
Yeah, for sure.
My first one was there. We used to go to the LSU game every year there. After you know, a lot of the big games and everything. It is a special place. I can understand, you know, with all the stuff of why they're wanting to take it away as far as recruiting goes. They can't have recruits there.
Yeah.
And you know, I think having the students there, I don't think is as big of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, there's benefits to both sides of it. I'm more of a fan staying playing there. It's one of my favorite games of the whole year.
No, that's awesome to hear you say that, especially that they do a good job on the food.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the people in Little Rock love having y'all there. I mean, they really do. I mean, that's especially as they're starting to take games away, they're more appreciative of when they do have you.
Right.
Well, that's why they want to put out good food and good, you know, make it as good for you as possible. Now, what's the longest kick you've ever had? If you had one that you just got a hold of and just
in game or out of game?
Just whatever. Just what's the longest you've ever booted one?
I think probably 70 when I was training back home over COVID. It was a pretty windy day. I had the wind at my back and that thing just went. But in game, I think my career long 63. That's still pretty good. I had 60. I think I had a 62 last year against Georgia Southern, and then the year before that, I had a 63 against Ole Miss. And then my freshman year is actually at War Memorial. I had a 63-yard one against Ole Miss again, but that one I was supposed to be punting it left, and I shanked it right. It was a raining game. And there's like a minute and a half left, and I mishit it right really bad, but it just got a really good roll and ended up dying down on the 3.
Wow.
Unfortunately, they took the ball and ran 2-minute drill really well and scored and won that game. But
now, one thing I got to say about you is you're consistent, and you don't necessarily get a lot of those booming kicks all the time, but you're really good at your coverage is there for you do a good job of working with your coverage to get a ball to where they can get down and make the play, because we haven't given up a lot of bad returns, I don't feel like, or
kind of the way I look at that is there's certain scenarios where you can let it fly and kick it far, and it's kind of just according to like field position where the punter has the advantage or the returner has the advantage. But I think a big key to just not giving up returns is making sure your hang time matches your distance and keeping it out of the middle of the field. The more that you can put outside by the numbers, it really only gives them a one-way go. They got to take it back to the field. But if you put it in the middle, then that's where you see a lot of the big returns, is because they can go right or left.
Yeah.
Now, when you played under Morris, did you have y'all didn't really have a per se special teams coordinator, did you?
No, not like the way Fountain is. Barry Lunny was the special teams coordinator. He was also the tight ends coach. And then kind of our coach was Tanner Burns and Daniel DePrado the second year. And they were special teams analysts, but they were kind of the ones who ran the show.
Right. So how has things changed for the special teams unit from Morris to Pittman?
Well, now we have Coach Fountain. He's a special teams coordinator. That's all he does is special teams. He's our coach. I think it's pretty good having a special teams coordinator where that's his sole focus is special teams. And he's a really great mind for special teams. Some of the schemes that we've done on punt return, kickoff and kickoff return, and then obviously the fakes too.
Right. So you'd say that's definitely helped your career, having Scott Fountain as special teams coordinator.
For sure. And just the way his professionalism has been, I think that's where I saw the biggest leap in my punting is just, he's a really strict coach and really hard on us, but he keeps us working the whole practice. A lot of times it's easy for specialists to kind of just drift off during practice if you're not staying on a strict schedule. Because, practices are 2 hours a lot of the times, and really can't punt for 2 hours straight. You got to do the little things, whether it be drops, catching molds, partner pass, just stuff like that.
Well, that's pretty
well, and that tells you, I think it says something to you as the player whenever your leadership, your head coach says that we're going to assign someone to special teams. So when he says special teams are important, he's putting his money where his mouth is,
Right.
He's putting, that tells you, oh, wow, he does think it's serious. He brought in this guy, not only someone to focus on that, but someone who is a very experienced coach.
Right. Yeah. Special teams are huge. It's a third of the game in terms of yardage. It's the biggest exchange of yardage in the game.
For sure. What do you think about these teams that, there was a famous coach in Little Rock at PA that, he famous for not punting. And onside kicks. You ever watched any of those games or anything?
Yeah, obviously I wouldn't want to go to a school like that.
Yeah.
Kind of put me out of business.
If he took over to Arkansas, you'd be in that portal like that.
I don't really think I can be in a position to be a fan of the game.
Yeah.
I guess there's certain situations where it works. I think it really just depends on the team. Like, if you got a good defense, why not do a surprise onside once a game? You have a better chance of getting a surprise onside than a conventional one. If you can steal possession and get the ball, it's a really big momentum shift. but it's all about trusting your defense if you're going to do something like that. I don't think you can do it every time. I think you get up it and be a little more ballsy with it, but it's such a risk, especially if you're in college. Like, because if it doesn't work, then you're gone.
Oh yeah. Well, and two, I think something we see out of Pittman is, Pittman's a little more apt to go on fourth down.
Mhm.
Coaches, but I like it when he does it. I mean, it seems like seems like he makes that call at a good time.
Yeah, those are such huge calls, because when you get them, it's deflating for the other team, because you think you have them. You still got one more down, and then you convert, string along 4 more plays. Kind of takes some wind out of their sails, keeping the ball away from them, keeping them on the bench, just watching an offense march down the field.
Yeah.
Now, Reid, obviously, success has changed a great deal under Pittman. And I know we got another season coming up, and you're only as good as your last game and all that. But at what point, because we saw it immediately, I saw it the first half of that Georgia game, like things were different. At what point did you know, okay, we're turning this thing around? What point, what was the point for you where you're like, okay, this is completely different?
I'd say as soon as the staff got there, the culture immediately shifted, because when we were playing under Morris, it was really kind of a dark time. Like, it wasn't fun, not winning any SEC games. We were just so ready for a shift in culture, and Pittman came in and started making really great hires. Just, I think, getting people that wanted to be there, like for a long time. Everybody on the staff is really personable. They want to get to know everybody on the team, including the specialists, which speaks a lot of volumes.
Yeah.
What would you say? Because look, there was a lot of things just from the outside looking in as a fan, listening to the press conferences, listening to the speeches and things like that. I liked a lot of stuff that Chad Morris was saying.
Yeah.
It made sense to me as a football guy. Okay. He would, and I catch Pittman saying some of the same things. Okay. Like, he's talking a lot this year about, we have a standard, right? Well, that was the big thing for I can't even remember his name. Chad Morris. He would say, we have a standard, and the standard's the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So the two guys that are saying the same thing, what would you say made one of them sink in and one of them didn't sink in for the team? Just you think that
I think
the guys they were?
Pittman lives it. I mean, he embraces it and embodies it. Like, that's who he is. Like, it's not like he was reading that out of a book. Like, that was straight from his heart. Like, it's what he firmly believes. Like, and there's just like nothing in between that and the players, to where, like, it's not like behind a veil or anything. Like, we see it every single day with him and the rest of the staff.
Well, and I'm 46 years old. Yeah. Well, I'm saying, like, I'm 46 years old, Reid, so I've heard anybody your age as kids. Even though you're a grown man, you are an adult. We do agree. But kids these days, I mean, they can see sincerity. I think you can feel it when Pittman talks, that the man means what he says.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and to me, and that was one of the things with Morris. I think we kind of, toward the end, I kind of got frustrated, because I would listen to those press conferences, and I felt like I was listening to a guy running for Congress, because they wasn't saying anything.
Yeah.
And I know he was in a difficult situation, because the product on the field wasn't good at the time. But I think everybody knew that there was better players on that field than what was the end product was.
Right.
And Pittman proved that when he came in, for sure.
Right.
Now, what do you see? Okay, so now you've been there. You've seen the transition from Morris to Pittman. You've seen a whole transition of culture. Now, that's advancing. Okay, this year, what's the difference in this team this year compared to last year that you see?
Yeah, I mean, it feels really special this year. Going through this off season, you'd think the off seasons get easier, like the more acclimated you get. I don't know how the freshmen do it now. I mean, if I were to come in this one, I don't know if I could do it. They just get harder and harder.
Yeah.
But I mean, this off season really pulled the team close together, just going through those tough workouts. And being on a football team, it's one of the biggest teams that you can be on in sports. You have to count on so many people, and going through those tough workouts, you really learn on how to count on each and one of your brothers, because it's a family. And you gotta be a family if you want to be a successful team.
Yeah. Now, speaking of those off-season workouts, how intense is Coach Walker?
He's intense. It's a real deal. And a lot of people ask if the specialists get any like kind of leeway if we do our own little separate thing.
Oh, they're just getting,
We're right there. We're right there in the fire.
Oh, yeah. I know. I guarantee you are out there. No, who's the most
one guy
intense
that I
coach
wish we
you'll have?
could hear more from. You know, we don't get to hear a lot from him. They kind of hide him away in that dungeon where he's working all y'all out or something.
Well, yeah, Coach Walker's strictly about business. I mean, when it's the off season, like he's the head honcho in the off season. He really brings us close together. It's all about us when we're in there.
That's great.
So would you say he's the most intense coach you'll have, or is there another one that's pretty intense too?
No, it's definitely Coach Walker.
You could tell.
I love him. I love him for that. I mean,
yeah,
he demands nothing but the best. I mean, he pulls out excellence in everybody on the team.
I don't know if you've listened. I know you said you listened to one podcast of ours, but if you watched some of them, like he was my man crush. I have a man crush on Coach Walker. Because I gave him the MVP for the one game, because you could tell y'all's conditioning was just won that game.
Yeah.
I'm brain farting on which game it is, but I gave it to him because I was like, we outlasted that. It may have been the Rice game. Because I felt like in the second half, y'all really took off that second half, and it's clear it was the deeper team and more well conditioned.
Yeah. Clint's in his fan club for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tell him I'm sorry about the creepy letters. I don't know what's wrong with
Well, and who are you? You know, we talked about last week that, you know, some players that we think that we're going to see some, you know, that at the end of the year, people are going to look and say, wow, that surprises me. They had a great year. We didn't see them coming. That, you know what I'm talking about, that kind of thing, where
kind of like underdogs for like a breakout.
Yeah, or people that aren't necessarily getting the publicity right now, but once they get on the field, they're going to end up making some noise, and people are going to say, wow, you know, kind of like say Trey Knox did last year toward the end of the season. You know,
well, I don't know if I could tip my cap to just one player. I think by the end of the year, I think the O line and the D line are going to be recognized just as a unit, as a whole. Like, I think we probably have one of the best O line in the country. I mean, we got some dogs on the O line and on the D line. They get after it every day, and they've gotten really good.
Now, the O-line is one that I think everybody already feels pretty good about. And there was a couple guys that we mentioned on the D-line that we think that are the ones that people are going to be talking about. Like, I think everything I hear about Terry Hampton, which he's from down here close to where I live in El Dorado, and so I got to watch him play in high school.
Yeah.
And I followed him a little bit while he was at Arkansas State. You know, while he was at Arkansas State, he was the type of guy that they were in that level, they were game planning against. You know, they were
right
everywhere he was, they knew where he was. And I think that's going to transition well.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, it is, you know, and even the offensive linemen are talking good about him. What have you seen?
It's tough to just pinpoint one guy out.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, just because the D line and O line, they play as like their own little unit.
Right.
So, I mean, anybody on one of those units can shine, but yeah, he's been getting after it. He looks really good.
So basically what you're saying is inside drill's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll say I wish I got to watch more of it.
Yeah.
No, I man, no, I don't miss that from my playing days.
Now
I
another
miss
group
it,
of
but I don't.
teammates that everyone was kind of worried about, and the talk has changed on them is those receivers. And it sounds
Yeah.
like it's like you're talking about with offensive line. It's not going to be, everyone's like, well, who's going to replace Burks? Well, what we're hearing is it's not going to be one person replacing Burks. There's 5 or 6 guys ready to step up.
Yeah, we have an extremely talented receiver room. I mean, if I were a coach, I'd be running them in platoon after platoon. I mean, everybody in that room can go out and produce.
Well, and
Now-
who was it? There was someone with a female reporter with,
Is Alyssa Lang?
was that who it was?
Yep.
It said, they tweeted out, said no one needs to worry about Arkansas's receivers. I guess she got to watch a practice or something. And
Yeah, I can confirm that.
yeah. So that's man, I'm telling you, we talk about y'all every week, just about. I mean, we talk about basketball and baseball and everything else too, and stupid stuff sometimes. But we've talked a lot about, who's going to step up, and who's going to be the, is it going to be Hazelwood? Is it going to be? And I tell you, hearing that stuff like that, that gets us fans fired up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's who's stepping up. I'd say it's the team stepping up. We're stepping up to a new level of play. I think where we're at mentally and physically.
No, that's great to hear. Now, obviously, you're over there warming up, kicking. Like, okay, it's second and 20. You just got a holding call. Like, I probably ought to go loosen up the old leg. Who's got the best hecklers? Because I know you hear it over there. Which university has the best hecklers?
I love this question. Y'all aren't going to believe me who has the best hecklers. It was my freshman year, and we played at Colorado State.
Oh, good.
I have to tip my cap to that student section. They had to have been the best hecklers because that was actually my first start ever, my freshman year. And I mean, they looked us up pregame, sitting on the bench. They knew who wasn't going to play, like calling them bench warmers early on. They were there early, starting to chirp. But I remember I was warming up in the net, and I got a tap on my shoulder. And like normally, like I'll get tapped, like the sideline officers, and like there's a lot of people over there. Like sometimes it'd be like scoot over a little bit, something like that. I turn around and it's the Colorado State mascot. And I was really confused. I'm warming up to go out and punt. And he points at me and then looks at the student section and goes, and they're all like, boo, you suck. Like, me out. And I'm looking around like for like somebody, I'm like, is he allowed to touch me? Like I'm warming up here.
I'm about to punch a mascot.
Like, yeah, you don't want to be the guy. I mean, here's the thing. If you did kick the mascot, I guarantee you'd make Sports Center.
That's right.
I think I would have been in the right, but
Yeah.
I was just too confused on what to do.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, you don't know what to do when a large mascot is tapping you on the shoulder. That's definitely. Now, when you go out and it's field goal time, you're going out to hold. Is there any communication between you and Cam, or do you just go out and do your job, leave him alone, let him do his mental thing? Or is there any kind of talk with y'all? Do you try to pump it? Do you try to pump him up?
Yeah, just like a little pump up. Especially if it's like coming out after like a timeout, like we'll talk about it a little bit. Sometimes if it's windy, I like to honestly treat it like I'm his caddy a little bit. Wind's coming in 7 degrees east. Might want to play it off the right upright.
Pick up the grass and taste it real quick.
Yeah.
Do this.
This is a sweet Bermuda.
Now, you've been holding long enough. Can you tell, like, as soon as his leg goes through, if it's good or not?
Yeah, I mean, I can just like, since I'm so close to the ball, I can kind of just tell by the sound, like whether he hits it a little bit off of his toe or if he like really thumps it.
Okay.
Well, you
So
know,
did you know immediately that LSU kick was good?
Oh, I knew before we were going out there, or as we were running out there. I didn't even need to worry about that one.
yeah.
That's good.
Well, you know, when
honestly, a lot of times, like, Cam's just such a consistent kicker. Whenever he does miss, I ask him, I'm like, did I do something wrong? Because I feel like it's on me. And he's like, no, like, I did this. I'm like, okay, just making sure.
yeah. Well, you know, the motivational coach we had in high school, we were playing a team, and it was for the lead in the conference. And I never kicked field goals. I just kicked extra points. But we were on the left hash, and it was going to be a 23-yard field goal. And my coach called me over, and he grabbed me by the face mask, and he said, "Can you make this?" I said, "Yes, sir." Said, "If you don't, I'm going to kill you."
Did you make it? Well, I guess you're still here, so you made it.
I kicked it underneath the ball, and it knuckled. And when I tell you it had arc on it, dude, there were behind the goalpost, about 8 to 10 yards behind the goalpost, there was a fence. It landed in between the fence and the goalpost. That's how straight up and down it was. Like a sand wedge. But it went in and I made it. So
a make's a make. I'll always tell the kickers, like, because sometimes they know when they hit a good ball and when they hit a bad ball, and sometimes the bad balls go in and they'll be mad about it. And I'm like, make's a make. It's on the stat sheet as 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Now tell Cam to be careful. Travis may explore to see if he's got any eligibility left.
Right.
I'll tell him to watch out.
Yeah, tell him like.
That's right. Yeah. Watch out, buddy. Now, of course, here's the deal. They just brought in another punter, a guy from down under.
Yep.
How's that been going? He sounds like he's got a big leg.
Yeah, he's awesome. Extremely talented. Me and him have built a really good relationship. It's been nothing short of amazing. I mean, we kind of clicked right when he came in, and I've been able to kind of take him under and teach him all the stuff I know. I've had a lot of experience, and it's really been nice to kind of give back and talk about it and teach a younger guy who I think is going to have an extremely successful career here.
So we're in good hands once you finish up this year, right?
For sure.
Good. We like to know those specialists. Arkansas's got a pretty good tradition of some good punters and kickers through the years. I don't know if you ever look back at some of them, but we've had some pretty good ones. Did you ever see Jacob Skinner?
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah,
I did. I wish somebody got a picture of it to blow it up. I did that in the bowl game because I had seen that picture like a week before. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I hope he's watching, and I hope he goes, that's what I do.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's a cool little nod to the old school. He's not I said old school. He's still a pretty young guy, I guess. But well, man. So, what's your goals for this year? What do you want to see at the end of the year? What do you want to see that Reid Bauer has done as a hog?
Yeah, I mean, when my time's done being a hog, I want to be remembered for being a great teammate, someone who loved to be on this team, someone who came in as a walk-on, didn't quit, earned a scholarship, and had a successful career. I just want to let this fan base know when I'm done that I really enjoyed my time as a hog, and being a Razorback meant everything to me.
Now, growing up, who were you a fan of growing up? Did you root for?
I rooted for Auburn.
Oh, that's right, for Auburn.
Yeah,
that's right.
I could never wrap my head around rooting for A&M or Texas. It's just kind of like everybody that I went to school with rooted for them. And I mean, my mom went to Auburn and my dad went to Michigan State, and I kind of just gravitated a little bit towards Auburn.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we didn't want everybody hating on you. I was going to be sure, like, hey, his family went to Auburn. He just didn't like Auburn.
What's your major?
I'm a marketing major with a information systems minor.
So what do you want to do with that when you,
Mhm.
let's say the NFL thing, once it's over?
Yeah, I'm looking to get into medical device sales. Um, I've kind of just been focusing a lot on football and school, but that's kind of where my head's at now. Still have a lot of options to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your senior year and all that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
man.
because you don't get this time back. One day you'll be 46 and co-host of a mediocre podcast.
That's right.
I don't know. That sounds like it's living the dream.
Oh, it ain't too bad. It ain't too bad.
Hey, at least you can have a cool logo of yourself on your wall if you spend the $38 for it.
Yeah, I'll have to get the guy who made that after this is done.
Yeah. Well, man, Reid, we do appreciate you, man, and we are rooting for you. And like Clint said, we want you to enjoy. We're Hog fans, but we also are fans because we want to have a team we're proud of. We want to have players we're proud of, and you've definitely shown that in the way you've carried yourself as a Hog, and the way you've stayed consistent on the field, and man, you've given us some memories. We're gonna forget that we lost that Alabama game, but we'll remember that jump pass. And then,
Man, I wish we would have won that one.
oh man,
I wish we would have won that one.
Oh, if we would have won it, there would be a statue of you running that jump, throwing that jump pass outside of.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Man, I'm
That'd be
looking
awesome.
forward. Yeah, we're looking forward to this season so much. I don't know. There's a couple of weeks ago we did our game by game tradition, and I've got a lot of faith in you guys.
That's right.
And
Yeah. Clint went, not no pressure, but Clint went undefeated.
Good goals.
That's right.
Smart man.
That's right.
That's the plan.
Now, of course, we're fans. We can look ahead. You got to look at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be a tough first game. But once again, if y'all end up doing well with this schedule, you've proven you're one of the best teams in the nation. And
Right.
And
Yeah, we just got to take it day by day, practice by practice, game by game.
That's exactly right.
And the fun thing is you're along for the ride, and we're going with you.
That's right.
Of course.
We'll be sitting in our big chairs, drinking our core water and or other kinds of water and rooting you on, man.
Now, Reid, I am watching. I'm watching the Cincinnati game from Las Vegas. I'm going back this weekend, so I need you to make another big play for me, and I'm going to try to avoid the food poisoning. I'm only eating at restaurants owned by Gordon Ramsay. That's it.
Well, Reid, man, we seriously do appreciate you, buddy, and maybe we'll have you on another time. We can get it kind of an update, and we're gonna stop recording in just a second. I want you to stay on for just a minute, okay? So
yeah, that's fine.
I'll stop recording, but I wanted to say some more to you. But folks, thanks for joining us today. You can check us out on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on TuneIn Radio, on iHeartRadio,
MySpace, Travis's Farmers Only account.
FarmersOnly.com. DMs are wide open, ladies.
He's on Christian Mingle too, people.
That's right. So, but seriously, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Reid Bauer, thank you so much for joining us. We got to say a big thank you to our buddy Mike Floyd, who this couldn't happen without. Mike Floyd, you the man. Although he lives in Birmingham, he's a huge Razorback fan and supports the Hogs and supports your boys right here on the Big C, Bigger T podcast. So thank you, Mike. And folks, it's game week. Get fired up. Call those Hogs next week. Cincinnati going down. Number 4 in the nation last year. Yeah, let's let them.
Yeah.
They're going down to our piggies because Reid Bauer is he's gonna kick one so high when the guy catches it. he won't have a
deal.
head left. He's gonna get his head taken off, decapitated. Okay, that's a little gross.
Yeah.
We don't want that to happen. But he's gonna get hit real hard, and he may have to cry to his mama. How about that? We'll take that.
Get it. Owie.
Folks, have a great week and go Hogs.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard drive so I can sow the seed.